Three, two, one. Hey, it's me, Magic Brad, Bradley G, they call me. So I'm going to go get my friend Steve, and we're going to whip through this and talk about. We're going to just spend 10 minutes. So 10 minutes of your time, if you can stick around for a little while, for 10 minutes. And we're going to talk about four different elements of marketing and promoting business in general, some of the things that we've been doing. Basically, it's going to be about email marketing. It's also going to be about direct mail postcards. It's going to be about utilizing social media and live in-person events. So let's go get Steve-O! Hey, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Great.
You cold? You look a little chilly?
Oh, no, it's warm down here. It's 82 degrees already
You
here in
guys
Florida.
got a hurricane coming to blow over there.
Yeah, let's let that blow through. It won't be no biggie. It just slows things down.
Let's get into this. We only got 10 minutes, and
All right.
those four things that I wanted to talk about. And I'll whip through what I'm talking about, and you can kind of come back and tell me I'm full of shit or whatever. But I've been tracking some of my paid advertising, and I'm finding that it's between 40 cents and $1 for a click. So I like the idea of using direct mail postcards at only 44 cents because I know that it actually gets there. I'm pretty confident that the Postal Service delivers it, and the longevity of the card is there much longer than that click. So I'm still an advocate of direct mail postcards.
No.
The other thing is this whole social media thing. I was talking with a guy, and he says, social media is global. And that's true because just because I've got like a Twin Cities, Minneapolis Facebook page, people that see it can be from Singapore or Germany so the traffic you see on there isn't necessarily who you want.
Right.
Even though I've done 50-mile radius paid ads with Facebook, I still get people from Iowa, and they're not 50-mile radius in Minneapolis.
Right.
And then the other thing that was what was it? It was the email marketing, social media, postcards, and then live events. I think live events are one of the best ways to actually connect with people, as long as you capture that information to be able to keep that, kick the can down the road and build that relationship. Because you can find out, okay, are you planning an event in the next 3 to 6 months, and do you have any money? If no, get out of my way. I soften it up a little bit when I'm talking to people. So.
Hey, you're a businessman.
Well, I worked with a guy that did trade show sales training, and that's basically what he said was, how much money do you have and when are you going to give it to me? And you got to figure out how to soften that up by saying something like, are you planning any events in the next 3 to 6 months? And what was your budget from last year? You soften it up a little bit.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. People are not really just to throw their money out there. You have to actually sell them on the benefit of what they're going to get. But I want to, out of all those four things you said, the one thing that I keep coming back to is what you're doing is you're positioning yourself in a particular market, right? Yeah. So you're using those four things that you just mentioned to position yourself. Well, the first place you need to position yourself is in your head. In your head, because how you perceive yourself, because our biggest hurdle is getting past what we think that we have to offer versus what we think that they want. So it's the process, it's a process of getting through that, positioning yourself in your mind. Who am I? How do I position myself in this market, and what it is that I'm going to give them, and how am I going to deliver, and is it going to be something that they want or need, So that's the biggie right there in my mind. And I use all those.
You're right on that, because if you're at an in-person event and you lack the confidence and you're still talking about these big giant budgets and you're thinking, why am I asking for this much money? And there's a little doubt. They sense that kind of thing. That's kind of a metaphysical, spiritual element of things. Or even when you're writing your copy.
So when you're right. Yeah. So when you're thinking about marketing yourself or whatever, you need to do this work, and it's a preparation before you start spending money and time of your own on those four things you just mentioned. I mean, I am, and there's a process you can go through. So, and that's one of the things I help people with. I go through that process. Now, I want to point out one more thing. What we're doing right here is valuable. It may not be alive, but it is live, but it's through the internet. This last week, for 5 days, I met with some people on marketing in a Zoom meeting, and there was only 4 or 5 of us in the conversation. But let me tell you, the value of what came out of that and the interaction, it was very different from anything else I've done when it comes to marketing myself or my services. Now, I was not pitching myself to them. We were just basically having a discussion like you and I are right now. But let me tell you, there's a lot of value. So if you can't meet with people in person, meet with them live on the internet. That's a great, and we invite people to come and join with us. Here.
Absolutely. I mean, did you talk a little about mindset at this thing? You're at the Zoom meeting?
No, they didn't. I was not the one in charge.
Because you bring that up, and I wasn't even thinking about that when I created this thing. But when you're doing things and your mind's not right, it's possible that if you say, you know what, I don't have $1,000 show, I've got a $200 show.
Right.
Your confidence is up there. It's possible you'll make more money. You'll book more shows at $200. You won't book any at 1,000 if you try and do it. If you got a fancy dancy website and a promotional video and all that.
Right.
You might, work more.
Yeah. We can fool ourselves to think that we're number one, but if you can't support that, if you can't anchor that belief with some actual facts and proof, then you're going to talk like you're number one and you're not number one. And then people know that. So being an expert in whatever it is you do is important today. There are too many fake people out there, too many people grabbing money, going after your money. So you have to become an expert. Now, how do you become an expert in your field? There is a process. And we don't have time to talk about here right now, but there's a process.
There's also the thing about what you've done. I mean, you've been doing this longer than I have, I think. And you've been there as a speaker, keynote on stage, suit and tie kind of guy. And then you've done owned the magic store in the business, and you've done the large corporate, the bigger illusions. You decided to scale it all back and make your living doing children's birthday parties and the senior retirement type folks and that audience. That makes you more happy. So,
oh yeah.
So my point is, if a person's like grumbly and they're doing this big illusion show, making all this money, and they're all pissed off, nobody wants to give you a letter recommendation if you got a bad attitude.
Right.
So I watch your videos all the time, and you always look like you're having a great old time making the balloons for the kids and all that kind of stuff, and the joking around with the old ladies.
Yeah, that's what I do, and it works for me, and I'm making a living at doing this, so it's doable, but see here's the other adage that we haven't mentioned, and that is, it doesn't take one form of advertising or marketing yourself. It takes multiple ones. Yeah. There is no one way of doing this marketing thing. And so you have to, as you just mentioned, the 4 things you mentioned are very valuable, and using them is great, and so I'm happy that we've got the Our Magic Deal thing going on for us, because that is the one, as you just mentioned earlier, that's working the best, and that's the postcards through Our Magic Deal.
Well, it's back in the physical world, and I do emails still, and it reminds
me too. Yeah.
But I go through I'm using HubSpot for the CRM, and I can see that people have not opened an email for a long time. It's been delivered, it says so, but they haven't really opened it, and it shows a little thing that this email is not being delivered because of lack of engagement.
Right.
So they're not opening it and looking at it.
Right.
They're not replying, so I'm not getting any engagement. So it's being suppressed.
Digital marketing is inexpensive, but it doesn't always work. People will become immune to it,
Yeah, and like those clicks on the internet, they're zooming around, and all of a sudden you got this peripheral stuff that's distracting you away. When you've got a piece of mail and it's sitting there, and you can prop it up and you can look at it. I think that's why it's a little more direct mail, postcard, physical card. It lasts longer. They have to physically throw it away to get rid of it. Right. Whereas on the internet, they just go away.
Right, a button.
And the social media stuff, it's just I'm still doing it all. It's almost one of these things where you just got to keep putting it out there. But it's pretty underwhelming when you put a post in a group that has 20 or 30,000 people in the group and nobody responds.
Right. Right.
It's like
Well, today a lot of people are not responding to a lot of stuff.
kind of
I
reminds
mean,
me of my stage show.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know, here again, it goes back to figuring out what the customer wants and understanding how to give that to them. And if you can't give it to them, why waste your time? You know, figure out what it is that you have to give and what it is that they need. You know, and I mean need.
And we've gone over our 10 minutes, so
Okay.
that's all the valuable information for you folks. But if you want to stick around, we're going to talk some more until we decide to get off here and go do other things. So that's it. That's a wrap. It's in the can. Okay, now we're just going to talk about stuff in general.
Oh.
Steve-O.
Usually you take me off and bring me back, but that's fine.
Nah, I'm just gonna. We're doing this like it's real life, you know. I didn't kick you out of the room. You're still here.
Yeah,
So
right. Let me tell you, one of the things I learned, it was a 5-day training thing that this guy put together, and it was a free Zoom, and he had a download every day, and he had a little program, and the whole purpose was to help the magicians and entertainers pick up additional gigs for Halloween. That was what it was about. Well, the whole reason for doing it was to pull people into his monthly membership at $29 a month. You know, that was the whole purpose of enticing people, which he was able to probably. He had 100 people sign up for the program.
Oh, look at this. You know Glenn, right?
Oh yeah. I've never met him in person. Hi, Glenn.
I've met him in person. He's still a nice guy.
What I'm trying to say is I was impressed by the way he went about it and how he drew the people in. He had 100 people sign up for that. Now, only a few people came to the Zoom meetings, but it was during the day. But he had people that downloaded his information. And I guess what I'm trying to say is for you and I, for us to give service of what we have to give to people, maybe we should think about organizing something like that, you know.
Well, I was giving some thought to that too. That just putting this out on my social media lists, I put this out on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, and not a lot of people see it. So maybe we need to take more time to build up the campaign and get people to see it.
Well, he established it as a course, and it's a free course. So he gives it more of a framework, you know, and the fact that we're just doing a podcast,
right,
is probably not enough. Probably people want some more structure, and then the podcast is like the cream on the pie.
Yeah, like we'd have like a 3-class series or something.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, we've kind of diversified. We've got magicians, and then we have event planners, which I understand. I don't know that we can continue if we do this concept to mix the two. I don't know about that.
No. Yeah, you need to maybe do 2 different ones, 2 different campaigns, 2 different.
And they can mirror each other. But yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's if the questions that'll come in, if it's an event planner, they're going to have totally different questions than a magician trying to book.
Yeah, well, not totally, but right.
And even different between a juggler and a magician. It's going to be different.
Yeah, yeah. Now talk to me about the page you just sent to me this last week that you created with all your affiliate programs on there.
Oh, that's really what I would like to build for as I retire. I don't want to get into events or doing these gigs and things.
Let's see what this is. This may be important. Hang on. Let me take this. Hang on a second.
Stand by. Stand by, Glenn.
Hi, this is Steve.
Let me put myself on there, and we will see if I can mute Steve here. There we go. So Steve's doing a little phone call. I will continue to talk on, and This is something that I think is important for performers to get more gigs. It's a different world, but I think that one of the best ways of doing it is I think what Glenn does is gets right out on the street and performs for humans and has conversations with people and basically showcasing himself and gets work doing the busking and the festivals and things, and then probably books a couple private parties here too because people get to see it and go, "Hey, are you available for XYZ?" I found that when I was performing full time, the best way to do it was to actually get get visible live in person. So I'm going to close this off and then reconnect with Steve here, and then we will share more at a later time. Restaurants too. There we go. Let's see. Let me bring Steve back. There he is. Hi, buddy. I got to unmute you. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Well, I just booked a show.
Woohoo! There we go. See, it's working.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It was an email I sent out this morning. The lady requested, and so so that's what I was saying. Earlier there's no one way of doing this, and I remember. Don't you remember the days when we used to do yellow pages?
Oh yeah. And then Glenn was talking about doing restaurant gigs. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's definitely a way of picking up some work.
But I don't know. I did a lot of restaurant work. One time I had 6 restaurants a week. Wow. I can't believe I did that. I was really working hard, but that was back when I was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a lot of gigs from my restaurant work, but I did get a lot of repeat customers that came into my restaurants to see me.
People aren't very creative with their minds. So they see you
Yeah.
working at a restaurant. They think, well, I'm not going to have you do my company picnic because we don't really have tables where people are at. They
Whatever.
don't think that way.
They don't know. You're right.
Same thing with trying to get a restaurant gig. You say, I want to come in and do magic, and go, wait, we don't have a stage here.
Yeah, right. That's right. Yeah, sometimes you have to educate people or show them the possibilities. And you're right. People are very closed-minded. They only have their own world that they're living in. And I'll be honest with you, living here in Florida, it's a little bit more. Well, when I came to Florida, I thought, man, this would be a great place to live. It turns out most people that live here are beach bums. They really are beach bums. It's a beach bum mentality here. They either go to the beach on the weekends or they go fishing. And they don't. And as I said, I don't know, I've told you before, when I ask people, have you ever seen a live magician? They go, no. That's because we may have the Magic Kingdom and we may have the Magic basketball team, but we don't have a lot of magicians doing shows like we did when I lived in Indiana up in the Midwest. Up there, it was a lot more popular.
Our friend Mike Wilkie is on here too, the cartoonist / magician.
Oh, awesome.
Hello, Mike. So something happened. We pushed it out here. We got it covered from the Carolinas to Minneapolis to Florida.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a shift in mentality, which is a cultural thing, and breaking through that is like Saturday when I did this festival. There were people there who'd never seen live magic, and they were just totally blown away. But the odd thing about it is they didn't know how to react. They just like, how did you do that? They didn't want to see more. I don't know what they were thinking. It was very interesting yesterday.
They were maybe a little puzzled by witchcraft.
Yeah, well, I might have been some of that. But when I worked at restaurants, a lot of the restaurant work I did were for tourists, people who were visiting from up north. So that was interesting. But see, it didn't give me a lot of repeat business.
Right.
I mean, it did. I'd had people who would come to me. We were here last year and we saw you. So I'm going, oh, whoa.
That's kind of what we want, right?
Yeah, that was a compliment. They came back because they'd seen me perform at the restaurant. Anyway, so yeah, I know I loved working for restaurants, but I'm done working restaurants. I now want a weekly show at a resort. Is what I'm looking
It takes a certain personality too to walk up to a table and say, "Excuse me," and you start talking to them, and they go, "Hey, is there any salt and pepper over here?" You know, it's like I'm the magician. I don't care. Yes,
Well,
get some pepper.
let me talk about that a little bit. One of the things that I did, and I did it Saturday too, because they asked me to go entertain some people at a table. So obviously, I assumed that they knew I was a magician, but I didn't. I just came up and I had a little coin, a coin purse with the just the rim. You know what I'm talking about? And I walked in and said, "Excuse me, we found this in the parking lot. There's some money in this, and we're trying to figure out who it belongs to." And that was how I broke the ice when I went up to the table. Of course, they're looking at me like, "Are you weird?" And I opened up and said, "No, there's money here." And I pulled out a silver dollar, and they're going, "Whoa," and that did it right there. So then they wanted to see more.
Right.
So
So,
I didn't approach the table and say, "Hey, I want to see a magic trick." No, I didn't do
yeah.
that.
So you got to go up there and look
I'm a
like an
magician.
idiot.
I'm supposed to entertain you.
You got to go up there looking like some kind of knucklehead, thinking that there's money in this coin purse. First
No,
thing.
whatever fits for your personality. That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, some people go up and they sort of look like they're the assistant manager and say, "How's everything going here?" And they get
Oh,
acquainted
yeah.
with it and all that stuff.
I've had people think I was a manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I said, I'm not the guy, but I can help you. And and that's one of the roles I played when I worked in a restaurant. And that is I would be like an ambassador or a liaison between the customers and the management, or the server, whatever.
Well, that's definitely even something that performers need to look at. Like even just like if they're working for an event planner, are you there willing to help? Are you there willing to help plug in the sound system, make it all work? Because they got a lot going on. So if you're a helpful person, they'll rebook you.
You're right. But I also know my boundaries. I'm not the technical guy.
Yeah.
And so, and my boundaries are narrowing down as I get older too. So,
Or
not,
whatever it might be. What if they got a big line of people waiting to get in and you can go work the
oh
line
yeah,
and be happy?
oh yeah, that I can do, and that I do. Right?
Glenn
Yeah,
says he gets paid to practice.
yeah. No, you're right. That,
Sure.
yes, it is true. It is one thing about working in a restaurant is you keep your chops up. Like Saturday, I was doing some close-up magic I hadn't done for a while, and I'm going, boy, I hope I remember how to do this. Of course, it all came back. But yeah, so yeah, since I don't have a weekly restaurant like I used to, yeah, that's one of the advantages of having a restaurant is you have that. But I have my studio here, my video studio, and I am making videos with a lot of the ideas, things I've had on my mind for years, and I'm doing something different, and
Mhm. Well, let's close this one off and say goodbye to Mike and Glenn, and then you and I can have a little conversation offline, and we'll figure something out to see if we can increase the.
well, that's right. I forgot they were still there.
Yeah, they're still here. We're still online, so
Okay, I see.
I will end the broadcast. So
Oh, I got you.
I'll shoot you in the green room. Go have some M&Ms.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Steve-O. There he is. You had a stationary. Oh yeah. You did. You used to do that kind of. Just let them come to you. That's a good idea. Okay, folks. Peace, love, and happiness. Magic Brad signing off. Hope you enjoyed our first 10 minutes. We had some information there that hopefully was beneficial to you. If not, you'll get used to it. See you later. Be good.